What's up from sunny California, party people, and welcome to Countdown to Classic. This is a podcast that educates, informs, and gossips about World of Warcraft Classic. Each week we discuss the news, hot button issues, and content of the highly anticipated Classic servers. I'm your host, Josh Corbett, and this is a show where it's not my opinion on World of Warcraft that counts, but yours. If you're new to the show, Countdown to Classic goes through your expert input on everything relating to the sure-to-be amazing World of Warcraft Classic. Now, as you can probably hear in my voice, I have been nearly broken by the long-haul trip over here from Sydney, but with the help of a bunch of priests casting Renew on me, and by priests I mean baristas, and by Renew I mean coffee, I've been somewhat brought back to life, and I'm ready and pumped for BlizzCon. A few of you have been wondering what's coming from the show while I'm here, and in all honesty, I've decided to just play it by ear. I will talk to people all over the place at the convention, and if they're happy for me to record those chats, then so be it. I hope to pump out another episode or two later in the week. They will more than likely be a little bit shorter than usual, but I'm looking forward to navigating some exciting, uncharted waters over the next week with the show, so please do bear with me through this time as I try to play a bit of jazz with Countdown to Classic and improvise. Today, though, I'm going to play you a fun 45-minute chat that I had with a bunch of content creators about their new Classic WoW website, their thoughts on making and publishing videos in the current media environment, a splash of demo chat, and talking about the community at large. So the first 15 minutes or so is a bit of a running plug for what they're putting together for the community, which I'm happy to do as I'm friendly with all of these guys and was more than happy to do them a solid and help get the word out. And then from there, the chat opens up a bit more on other topics. But I just wanted to go on a really quick diatribe about that word community, because that's what this episode really is about. It's something that we haven't really gone into depth in on the show, and I'll go even further on another occasion. But the broad strokes that I'm drawing here is that we are a fantastic community, and the people involved in this call are part of the community that you are a part of, the World of Warcraft Classic community, the vanilla community. There's an incredibly large number of us worldwide, and it, as I said, is an amazing community, and one that I have absolutely loved becoming a part of over the last year. And through my involvement in the show and getting to talk with some of you, getting to read emails from some of you, I just think that, you know, the vast majority of people who play this game that we love are just the most lovely people and intelligent and insightful and just a delight to hear from. So this call is about what we do to basically make things more fun for our friends in the community. And there's a lot of content creation that goes on with Classic WoW. This is obviously something that the guys have put together that I think it was important to highlight, as that word community is often invoked. You hear it being said a lot on YouTube, but I think it's a word that's seldom really appreciated by some of the people that actually do say it. Now, it really involves giving back in a way, being helpful, being friendly, teaching people about the game, and then offering your unique insights into the game and wondering if people enjoy them, and then inviting some feedback and engaging further in conversation from there. It's a community that supports each other. We're all people behind these characters, and I think you see a lot, you know, especially on Twitter, you see the person that plays the game with you, and it really makes you either want to get to know people or point them in the right direction if they have a question, or prop them up when they need support emotionally or what have you if they've got something going on in their lives. It's a great community that shows genuine concern for one another and wants to just have everyone having fun and enjoying the game together, because at the end of the day, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be relying on each other when we're running dungeons, when we're running raids, when we're doing stuff like that. We need each other. We got each other's backs. We have fun. There's a bit of friendly barbs every now and again if you're PvPing, you know, Horde versus Alliance. But at the end of the day, it's all love. And I think that in what I've done with the show, I always felt somewhat of an obligation to give back. As I said at the start of the show, when I began this long journey, I really wanted to give back, as I had been a lurker for so long. I'd been all take, no give. I was the opposite of what a good community member should be. And now I've tried to somewhat right the wrongs of the past and develop a bit of good karma by doing Countdown to Classic. And hopefully I've paid my debt to WoW Society by now. But it's been so much fun doing this for you all and engaging with you all and meeting the people that form the greatest gaming community out there. But with that said, I'll pop down off this half soapbox that I was just talking from, and let's get to the chat with the team over at ClassicWow.live in today's Calling Countdown. All right, it's time for another Countdown to Classic call, and we have an absolute multitude of callers on the line, a plethora, if you will. So let me run through everyone one by one. Everyone, say hello to Countdown to Classic regulars. Def Camp.
What's up, boys?
Melderon.
Hello, everyone.
Taladrill.
Hey, guys.
Ale.
Yo.
And taking his Countdown to Classic V plates, we've got Cargos. How are you?
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Well, hello.
Thanks so much for being here, everyone. And a few of you are probably already wondering, why have I got so many people on the line for a call? I haven't done something like this since sort of the Great Debate episode. But obviously, this group of people have done something relatively interesting just in the very recent past, just in the last few days. And a little bit of a collective has come together in regards to classic content. So I might start with you, Cargos, considering it's your first time on the show. Let's give you opening honors. And why don't you just tell people sort of what's going on with what you guys have done?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having us, Josh. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm super excited to make my first appearance on Countdown to Classic. We're basically building a platform, a website called ClassicWow.live that we hope is going to be not only a comprehensive resource center with straightforward kind of value-add guides and things to help in that sense, but more importantly, a home that can bring the Classic WoW community together kind of under one banner. And, more than that, producing content that's going to be more lighthearted and fun as well. And
so I'll stay with you, Cargos, if I can just say, what exactly, I mean, what are the logistics behind it when I say, like, who's involved, how many of you involved, how did this all come together?
It was kind of just a natural evolution. As you're creating content and you're uploading videos and guides and stuff, you kind of have this, at least speaking for me personally, you kind of wished you could maybe be part of something a bit bigger rather than a bunch of one-off channels uploading the odd guide here or there. And it was sort of a natural evolution as you talk with more content creators and you're able to bounce ideas back and forth off each other. And we kind of realized that it would be beneficial to come together under one banner, and create something kind of bigger than just ourselves and do something bigger and more impactful for the Classic WoW community. So, getting together with Def Camp and Melderon and Taladrill and Ale and, everyone involved has been really cool. We have a bunch of content partners. So we have, how many do we have now, Def? Like 15 or something like that?
Yeah. And, a lot.
Yeah. We have a bunch of content partners, and really the goal is to come together and to leverage each other's skills and bounce ideas off each other in the hopes that we can create more content, better quality content. And then also on the technical side, develop, some really badass tools, that's going to help people out.
Excellent. Now, just to let all the listeners know, as Def Camp has alluded to, there are a boatload of people involved. You guys have let me know about this project for quite some time. Taladrill was somewhat keeping me in the loop on what he was working on, this great passion project, without providing me with too many details. And I was always sort of intrigued by what was going on behind the curtain. And now you've come together and you've released it recently, just in the last few days, and everything's looking fantastic. I should let everyone know that you guys spoke to me about coming on board as well, and I was very flattered by the offer, and I was very tempted at one stage as well. But I should let people know that I'm not involved, and that's not an indictment of what you guys are doing. It looks fantastic. I'm just a weird kind of Lone Ranger type, and that's the only reason why. But I was more than happy to obviously talk to you guys about it, let people know on the show what's going on, and I'm a big fan of so many people that you have involved with this thing. So I'm really excited excited to devour the content that you guys are putting together as well. And whilst I'm not a part of it, I will certainly be watching with a very vested interest. So it's really good to see it all come together for you all. If I can turn to you, Taladrill, now, and just ask, you and I had been speaking over the past couple of months about this, and you were very hesitant to release much information, and I perfectly understood, and it's clear that you've put a lot of time and effort into this. And if you can tell us a little bit about the logistics in putting this thing together from a technical aspect, what's gone into it from your end?
Yeah, it's been a lot of stuff. I was wanting to work, I think a lot of people have been using my gear lists, and so that's really what sort of prompted all of this. And so from that, I wanted to make a more accurate and serviceable gear list, but with that, what you need is a better database. So that's what I've been working on, is just trying to massage data and make it in a way that it will be much better and easier for people to be able to look at stuff. Because to me, I think databases are they're very flat. They're very hard to dive into, and you really have to do it manually. So that's mostly what I've been working on. So it's been really exciting to be able to finally get Ale to implement some of these features in a way that people can sort and filter by that kind of stuff. It's nice to finally see some stuff on the page, because it's just been a lot of spreadsheets at this point.
Well, if I can ask, obviously there are other databases out there already. There's, sites that, I find myself often using Classic DB. But there's obviously other sites out there as well. Wowhead's one of them too. If I can ask, with your site and what you've put together, technically speaking, what's the differentiation between your database and others? I've got no idea what would possibly go into building a database. So if you can talk about sort of what maybe things that you've used in the past and how you felt they could improve.
Yeah, I'll just get into some details. I don't want to expound too much until people can actually see the database, because that's still in the works for getting some stuff up.
Okay.
But for example, if you want to simply sort something by level, it won't show you any quest items, because all of the quest items have no level associated with them. So I went back and I figured out for all of those items what their actual quest level is, and then tied it to the item itself, so that all of the items will show up appropriately where possible. So that's just one of those small aspects that, unless you actually do it sort of manually, you miss out on it. And it'll be a real value for people to be able to delve into that kind of stuff, so that they don't have to wonder all the time. So your twinks and your levelers and everybody else, it's like, how can I get this and when can I get it? It'll be readily apparent to you.
And I'd just like to add there is that we have, with Classic's announcement, we have a influx of players that have either never played Classic or haven't played in years. So we want to be able to provide them information quickly and easily accessible information that they may have not even seen before or may have not remembered properly. So, the current database will really not show you in an interactive way what the world really has to offer. And this is something that we're trying to do in our database.
Ale, I'll turn to you now, and I obviously met you relatively recently. You've been kind enough to be on the show. People have absolutely devoured your Nax Ramus episode, and that's been an episode that has flown off the shelves, and I've loved the chats that we've had. I had no idea when we talked, though, that you were sort of involved in this kind of project. And what I'm getting at more is, when you talk to people, these things don't exactly come up. Wasn't aware that you had quite a bit of proficiency in kind of building databases and working on this kind of stuff. So if you can talk to us a little bit about your background and the blood, sweat, and tears that you've put into this project a little bit.
Yeah, well, actually, like you, I only moonlight as a hardcore WoW gamer. My full-time profession, I'm a full-stack developer. Both front end and back end. I have over 10 years experience, and it's kind of funny actually, because there's actually a reason I have 10 years experience, and that's because, Classic ended like 12 or 13 years ago. 12 years ago, I guess.
Oh man.
Okay.
So I really couldn't start my career until Classic ended, unfortunately. It was a little bit of a slog there for me, but I got through it. And, since then I've been working full time, making tools, professional tools for a lot of global websites and things like that. But I've always kind of wanted to get involved in, a classic WoW project. And, again, kind of thanks to you, I ended up meeting up with all these people after our episode. I discovered these other communities kind of like, thanks to you, right? And it's pretty interesting about how like, one community and how like one game like this can bring everybody together. Like that's kind of a core theme of our whole site is that, by having all of us grouped together, we're going to be able to bring a lot more people together and create a real great community, I think.
Well, I like to think of Countdown to Classic as the island from Lost, just bringing all these misfit people together and somehow tying their stories in. But it has been interesting sort of seeing the ties that people have weaved from being on the show, and it's been a lot of fun sort of seeing relationships develop from there.
You're kind of the WoW matchmaker.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to play Cupid in that regard. But DefCamp and Melderon, I'll turn to you guys, and Melderon, I'll start with you, and just sort of say, you guys are obviously deeply involved as well, and you've helped put together. Well, all of you are basically the brains behind the operation. And if I can just ask, what are your hopes and dreams with the site once it's up and running?
That's a great question. So I guess I can answer that a little bit with a story. So actually how this all transpired is that Cargo's kind of reached out to DefCamp and I and said, hey guys, do you want to build something? And we're like, yeah, that sounds amazing. So, and the funny thing is, Josh, is, going back to what you just said, is you're kind of the glue that brought this together, because I said, well, I know somebody who's very knowledgeable about the game. And I knew about the database project. And I said, I'm going to give Taladro a call. And Taladro was like, yeah. And then Taladro was like, well, I know somebody who would be a big part of this. And I said, let me guess, it's Ale, isn't it? Without even knowing who he was talking about, I had listened to Ale on Countdown to Classic, and I kind of had this weird connection with him. And we never talked before, and we talked in my Discord. And that's kind of the dream is, our goals and aspirations is embodied really by how we came together, is that the community brought us together and brought 20 other content creators together, because we want to build something that we're not only proud of, but we're proud to share with the entire Classic WoW community. And that includes people who've been playing, for years on private servers. That includes people who's never played before, and that includes people who are coming back again. So our dream is to really create a hub that people can feel comfortable in, come to not only gain information, but feel like they're part of something. That's kind of our goals here.
Okay. Now, DefCamp, I'll get you to sort of put in one final push for the attraction to the hub, as Melderon puts it, and I'll put the hard word on you a little bit. I've left the hardest question for poor DefCamp, but can you tell us why people are coming to your site as opposed to others?
Okay, so first and foremost, I want to just say that the people that we have working on this project are some of the smartest, most intelligent, down-to-earth people you will ever meet. I mean, we have, of course, the five of us here in this call, but we also have so many people that have helped bring this project together. And that, I think, is why this project, or why I believe in it, and why I think people are going to be drawn to it, is because with all of us working together, we're able to make something that truly is worth the community's time. And it's really going to be that tool that is going to, this is created by us, for you guys. And we're just like you guys. We love Classic WoW. So we want to make the best possible content, tools, and guides that we can, because we're going to want to use them as well, and I just can't explain to you the level of commitment that, people like Cargos, Taladro, Al, and everyone else has put into this project. The level of motivation that we have is just I can't believe it. Like every
and
day
just to
we
jump
think
on
about
that too.
this.
Like, I don't know. It's kind of a strange thing. We're influencers, content creators, people that have our various communities, and we're coming together to build something. I can't recall of another project similar in that sense. You know what I mean? We already have these established communities and we're already putting out content and people kind of recognize some of us and through the various channels and stuff. And it's kind of the influencers and figureheads and creators coming together to build something. It really just feels like a very wholesome grassroots project. And, I think that's kind of unique. That's kind of, it's like a platform with heart and soul. You know, we're not just spitting out raw data or anything like that. It's got, hopefully it's going to have a really good community feel.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, we're still looking for more people for this project, and we really want to bring the community together. Whether it's your favorite content creator or someone who you never heard of before, who really has something amazing to offer the community, and to be able to give that person a platform to use and show the community what they have, because we believe in this project. We really do. And I really 100% believe that we will have, the content, we will have the guides, we will have the best tools to offer because of the people working on this project.
So by the time you guys are watching this, we will have launched our kind of super minimal bare bones MVP of the site, or minimum viable product, as well as like an alpha or beta version of the character DPS tool. So by the time your viewers are listening to this, that's going to be accessible. There's a bunch of good guides on there and content that you can dive into. But in the background, we are working on a more robust platform. We are thinking bigger and broader here, and we're creating a good technical environment so we can be able to accomplish all of our goals there. And that is coming. That is coming, as well as the database and stuff like that.
Also, this is a call to arms as well. This is not a closed project. We don't have, we are actually looking for people to become part of this project. If you think you have something unique, sorry, go ahead.
That is just that. If we could plug that would be great. Looking for people who can write guides, looking for people who want to add content.
I'm not sure if you're recording or not, Josh, are you?
No, I am. So I'm going to have to do...
Okay, good. I'll just riff off of that. So this is a call to arms for the community, because this is not a closed project. This is something that we're constantly working on, and we need people like you. We need the community. We need you guys to come with us in Classic WoW Live. If you want to write a guide, if you want to make a video, if you want to help on the website design, if you want to do any of this stuff, down the road, we need management, and we need people to be really... and content creation, and forum moderators, community managers, Discord moderators. If this is something that you guys were interested in, we want the community to do this. We don't want to just hire some random dude. We want people who know the game and who love the game. So
again, this is for us, by us. Like, we want this to be a home for everything Classic WoW.
Yeah, for the Classic WoW community, by the Classic WoW community. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a great sort of overview of the project, and I wish you all nothing but the best of luck with it. And I really will be keeping a keen eye on it and visiting the site and taking a look. And I encourage all the listeners to sort of support the guys and support everyone involved by please, checking that out. But we've obviously we've flogged the site a bit now. I don't want people to feel like it's a ongoing advertisement, but obviously I'm friends with everyone here, and I'm more than happy for them to sort of come on the show and tell you all about what they're doing. And Melderon promised me he would pay me in George Costanza-esque erotic photographs, so I hope they're coming. I hope they're coming.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Yeah. So no,
I'm sorry, Josh. We don't have anything to offer you but good content.
That's all right. That's all right. Look, as I said, not a paid advertisement or anything, but I'm more than happy for you guys to get that information out there. So thank you so much for coming on and saying all that. But if I can turn the conversation a little bit more generic now, and I just wanted to have a chat to all of you about, and feel free to weave in the website where it's applicable. I don't want you to feel like you can't talk about it, but you produce a fair bit of content on YouTube, Cargos. How do you feel about sort of, if you say it put this way, working with YouTube right now in 2018, the way in which they handle their content, their rules, their guidelines, what have you, and also just reaching an audience? Like, if I could just get you to spout on a bit about your feelings about that platform.
You're saying just as YouTube in general, like its viability?
Yeah. How do you feel about producing content there at the moment?
YouTube's been good to me. YouTube's been good to me, and I'm very thankful and appreciative that I live in an age right now that I have this, platform where for some reason people want to listen to me talk about whatever. And, I'm very appreciative. I have been noticing, just kind of feeling out. It's just kind of my gut when I see other content creators talking about it. So there's sort of a trend that people are sort of saying that they've been losing some views. Stuff has been kind of trending in the wrong direction. So that's some feedback that has been bouncing around, a lot. And, I guess that's my sense at this moment.
Okay. I have found myself sort of, as much as I consume YouTube, and I've, paid my monthly YouTube Red fees for quite some time now, and I love YouTube like a son. But I must admit that there's the growing culture over time that, there's the YouTube 101 way of doing things. And, you gotta have the clickbait title. You gotta have the crazy thumbnail with someone doing something weird and silly on it. And it's become a little bit grating at times, and it's sort of become, a thing for people who use it regularly to know how to navigate the waters a little bit. And if I could just ask perhaps Defcamp and Meldron, I'll turn to you for this one. You guys obviously use YouTube as well. How you feel about the state of play with YouTube now, and sort of whether that's something that, you guys might be avoiding on the website, and just how you feel about content creators using the platform and what they have to do versus what they want to do.
Yeah, so it's very hard for new content creators to really gain traction in the current YouTube world. And that's another motivation why we decided to do this kind of collaborative effort, is because there are many sub 1,000 sub content creators that really deserve a lot more. Chimley is one that comes to mind, and I'm not trying to plug his stuff, but if you haven't had a chance to watch his stuff, the guy literally analyzes from an academic standpoint. He goes in and takes the music and rips it apart and tells you why the music works in vanilla World of Warcraft or classic WoW. That's just one example. You have Chinese and Lucky Dudes that are doing the same thing with the lore, that these ladies know everything about the lore. But unfortunately, the way YouTube works is that they don't succumb to those kind of clickbaity titles and clickbaity thumbnails, and that's why they don't get views. And, we've been fortunate enough to be above the 1,000 YouTuber benchmark in whatever for monetization. But, for smaller content creators that are able to find a home, that's kind of what we're trying to do with Classic WoW.live. And then another thing is that, the kind of the core issue with that I think maybe people think we're trying to compete with YouTube is that we're not doing that. We are, our content creators, our content partners like Orcbit and Hamster Wheel, so they're going to be creating YouTube videos. They may, from time to time, produce content that's exclusive for the website because we have a certain gap that we have in our content library. So our goal is not to compete with YouTube or Twitch. It's to use those platforms to supplement our platform.
Guys, if I can turn a bit more towards the community now and have a quick chat about that with all of you. Obviously, every single person in this call is quite involved with the community. We're not, we're not lurkers. We're all involved. We either post videos, we post comments, we get engaged. Now, things have been ramping up a fair bit since we had the announcement of the demo, all these leaks that are happening, and purported leaks that are coming out now, and everyone, it is absolutely blood in the water. And as I say, the sharks are circling and people are going nuts. So, Defcamp and Meldron, I'll turn to you for this one at the start. Tell me how you feel about the community in general at this point, as we see things like Reddit numbers climbing, more forum posts being put up, BlizzCon right around the corner. Are you stoked by what's going on, or just tell us generally how you feel?
Okay, so I think this is a natural thing. I hear a cat in the background. I think this is a natural thing. That's okay. So we have this influx of, we knew we were going to have an influx of players. I think Blizzard really underestimated again with the, I would love to see how many, those virtual tickets they sold, after the announcement that there's going to be a playable demo. So we have a lot of people that are coming back. We have a lot of emotions. It almost is recapitulating what kind of happened in the initial, post NOS shutdown. So it kind of reminds me of that kind of community again. So things are going to be a little vehement for a while, I think, and people need to just calm down and relax and say to myself, think about this for a second. If you don't like, people are going crazy about the shadow textures and the water textures, and I'm like, it's the core situation we have at hand here is that we're getting Classic WoW, we're getting a playable demo, it's going to be coming out soon. You can, to me, improved shadows and improved water it's not a deal breaker at all. And you have to realize that Blizzard is a company that needs to differentiate themselves from private servers. If you thought you were going to get a dump of what's on a private server, that isn't how Blizzard does things. And I think, we all need to just take a step back and realize that this is actually happening, guys. We, as a community, all of us, had an effect in getting Blizzard to remake the most amazing game experience of all time. And, I think the Reddit community and what's happening on YouTube is that there's an influx of just so much new information and these leaks are, they're just leaks at this moment. And, to me, there's nothing there that's a game breaker of any stretch of the imagination. I don't know if Def can collaborate on that, but.
Yeah, no, I think once we get the demo and we're able to see, because like right now, there's a lot of emotion behind this, obviously. People like ourselves, we've been waiting over a decade for this, you think about that. Put that into your mind and chew on it for a second. Like a lot of pent-up thoughts and frustrations and emotions have been brewing for a long time, So everyone's entitled to their opinion, of course, and I really feel like the community itself has kind of grown in a way and kind of, at first, people were really, really excited for it, and then people started to get worried, and it's kind of been like this down roller coaster that we've kind of had. I hope your cat didn't have an accident there, but
no,
this kind of up and
clearing
down
them out.
roller coaster that we've been having. And I feel like, once the demo comes out, I think things will kind of settle a little bit. I mean, I hope, but the community is really at a point right now where I think it's like, like Melderon said, we have Classic literally coming in a demo in less than over like 2 weeks, or from this announcement a week. I mean, that's huge. That's amazing. So I think when we start to see things, happen and start to see it going over the hill with a demo, I really think that, like Melderon said, little things like water textures, like this, like shadowing. I really feel things like that were bound to happen. We're working on a game so long ago, and Blizzard was going to have to implement certain things. And these leaks, like we just said, they're just leaks. I think getting so frustrated over something that's not, even if this is something that came from Blizzard, all of that could be changed by the time the demo comes out. And I don't think people realize that, things are constantly in motion and constantly changing. So I think, and so is the community and the feeling. So I think, as we go on to the community, I'm interested to see what's going to happen, but I really have high hopes. And, even with the website, we really, plan on having like forums there where people can, voice their opinions and what's going on. So, I'm just going to keep my finger on the pulse and, hope for the best.
Ale, if I can turn to you, just talking about some things that Def Camp and Melderon brought up then, they talked about, the community being up in a bit of a kerfuffle about some of the stuff that we've seen in these leaked screenshots and, people losing their minds over water textures and grass and stuff like that. I'm getting the opinion, well, this has been my opinion for a long time, and this is my personal interpretation. I'm starting to see this creep into people's comments a little bit. Tell me if you agree. I've always been like, it's going to get to a certain point where people are not going to care. And I think Blizzard has been somewhat brilliant in this regard in terms of, not that it was necessarily deliberate, but how long they've taken with developing the game and how little information they have brought out to us. They've beaten us into a state of submission, if you will. And it's going to get to the point where people who are so angry about certain things, I won't play if this is in the game and blah, blah, blah. We're just so hungry for it now, we don't give a shit anymore. And it's like, okay, new textures, I don't care. Just, okay, you've changed a couple of things in the game, I don't care. Just fucking give it to me. Do you think the community is kind of at that state, or how do you feel personally?
I don't think we're there yet. I think once it's released, it's going to change a lot of people's minds if there are some minor changes. Like for me, I remember when they announced Hearthstone, and I was like, "This is total bullshit. This is like such a Magic clone. I'm not even going to bother with it." And then once I played it, and it was actually pretty fun to play, I kind of softened a lot on it. So I think like it's going to get to that point. We're not there yet because we actually don't have something tangible. Like people are getting upset about things, right? You know, it's easy for people to pick things apart, but then, you know, once you get that load screen and, you know, you create your character and it takes you in there, like, man, it's going to suck you in for sure. And that'll be the point, I think, where, you know, a lot of people are not going to care because once you start getting into it and it's going to be, you know, it's going to be so close to the original experience, you know, that's my gut feeling that I think that is going to happen. People are complaining now. I don't think we're quite at the point like that yet, but, you know, it's going to get there for sure.
Taladrill, how have you felt about some of the things that we've seen in these leaks? And again, we always throw in the preamble that it's leaks, completely understand that it might be bullshit, it might be true, who knows, but on the realm of speculation, when you see things like, the option to switch to classic settings and in your graphics, and sort of there's the updated water textures, updated shadows, things like that. And, you know, I was staring at some of these screenshot comparisons going like, I think the difference is relatively negligible, but I mean, I funnily enough, still found myself gravitating towards the classic setting. How have you felt about what you've seen so far?
I'm pleased so far, honestly. I think some graphic settings is entirely harmless. I'm glad to see that it doesn't seem like there's new models and old models, because to me that's I from an RP standpoint, I'd be projecting my character and I want to make sure that whatever I look like looks the same to everybody else, you know. It's an identity kind of thing. So I'm glad to see that they don't have, as far as we can tell, a toggle for that. But toggling what the game looks like, I mean, heck, you can do that already in the old client with just changing console commands. So having prettier water for some people or older water for others, like, I mean, there's literally no difference apart from what you are seeing on your own monitor of how the world looks. So I like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you saying you're projecting your inner night elf?
Right. Right, I'm from Oregon. I gotta be the night elf, you know, the night elf hippie.
As soon as you said that, I'm just like,
yeah.
I just have Nick Seam's voice in my head right now doing the Ishnu Allah guy.
Well, you know, actually, a little aside is that I'm considering rolling on an RP server for the first time ever because of that RP episode that I listened to in Countdown to Classic. So
wow,
sounds
incredible.
That's awesome.
I was talking about that yesterday on stream, dude. I was literally talking about it live with the viewers, trying to, you know, I've never played on an RP server before, but I'm kind of interested. Maybe it's going to be like, more mature people, you know, I don't know.
Well, would it be more fun, or would it just be like, would it get old? I'm not really sure, you know. But
I think with the classic community, you can kind of like, you don't need to be on RP server to RP. Like, I remember my old guild in Classic, you would get together for a guild meeting in Stormwind at that like open place that they made into like the bank later on. And then after that, with everybody together, we'd go and raid a city, right?
Dude.
And that felt very RP-ish, but it was like, you know.
That's funny you say that.
Something that people did, yeah.
Our first guild meeting of an inter-guild meeting back in Vanilla was in that room in Stormwind, so that is really funny you mentioned that place.
Alliance players.
It's funny you say that. Like I found the RP episode that I did as well with King Mike. I found him really quite interesting, and it's to this day though that episode is still. I think it's one of my top 3 lowest rated episodes. Like, and I can understand that people generally aren't as interested in RP, but it really will be intriguing to see what direction that goes in with the release of Classic and what proportion of the player base gravitate towards that option.
Yeah, I think Josh, one thing that's really cool with WoW is exploring things you've never done before, right? Like, I know people who have never tanked, and then, you know, they went their whole WoW career never tanking, and then you make a tank all of a sudden, and it's like, wow, here's a whole different aspect of the game that I've never played before. And RP is like one of those things, especially for me. And it's another way to fall in love with the game again, another way to get involved with socializing again. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited for Classic is because, I'll be able to do all the things that I've done before that I know that I love, but also try the things that I've always wanted to try. And RPing is one of those things. And, just being able to explore those things, you get that feeling that you've always been chasing, that initial falling in love with WoW feeling. And I love that about the game.
You're exactly right.
I want to jump in just quickly and say the thing that I think is really great about Classic is it is so RP friendly, even if you are not on an RP server, just because it's so much more RPG based. Like there's a lot more of those elements in the game. So you can really dive into your character, even just personally. You don't even have to have it be a guild thing. And it just feels really rewarding in that sense.
Classic WoW is the closest representation of a tabletop game I've ever seen on a game. Personally, that's just me.
Good point. Well, Def Camp, you mentioned sort of it is the opportunity to do something that you haven't done before in the game, and that's why I've said before on the show, I'm really excited about being able to perhaps actually be good at the game. That would be new for me, so we'll see how we go.
Anything's possible, Josh.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Spend some time on Classic WoW Live, Josh, and then you'll be good at the game.
Exactly.
Read my guides.
If I can ask you, over on your YouTube page, have you noticed an uptick in traffic and comments since all this stuff has been breaking?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not sure who that question was directed to, but I recently put up a video. So I'm sure you've realized this, Josh. There's no correlation between how much time you put into a piece of content and how much views you'll get. At least I've never seen that before, but we just put out a video, and it's called Why Classic WoW Storytelling. And I promise, I feel like I'm plugging it, but it's just amazing to me the reaction it's gotten. All I said was, basically I made a video that said, the storytelling in WoW is unique. Taladrill helped me write the scripts. It was a collaborative effort. I was like, look, the storytelling is unique. You aren't thrown in your face about how to who's the antagonists, who's the protagonist. You aren't the protagonist. You're just some dude. All these things about how the story is unfolded to you and not just pushed in your face like it is more in retail. And the video just went bonkers. And I'm like, this is it. It's not about it's the gameplay is part of it, right? But it's the setting that Classic produces. That's why people fall in love with it, I think. But yeah, it's just amazing because I've spent 25 hours on a video before and it's gotten 1,000 views. And it's to me it's just a message that I was trying to present to the player base was there's more to it than just gameplay. There's more to it than just class fantasy. There's more. It's the world. It's the developers really fell in love with. You can tell they loved Azeroth. They loved their product. And it comes out in every quest to me, every single thing, every single dungeon. And we've all talked to John Stats. These guys were passionate. They were putting hours upon hours into this game. It really shows.
Well, Cargos, I'll ask you as well. Sorry. Over at your channel, have you seen a massive change of the tide in terms of numbers, comments, just general feeling about people now that things are getting closer?
Yeah, I mean, it's been up and to the right, man. It's been...
That's funny. I'm down and to the left.
Is there anything?
Keep it professional.
Oh no, I'm saying it's been going really good. I've sort of finding a bit of a niche here with some of the stuff I'm working on with some of the leveling guides. I think people there's a real positive energy. Generally, of course, you're going to have a vocal minority, that's going to, kind of be hating on whatever. But, the vast majority of people are very positive, and I think they're playing for really good reasons. A lot of people coming back to the game are playing kind of with their heart in the right place. And, I'm just really excited for the future.
Okay. Now, if we can turn to the demo a little bit and BlizzCon in general, Ale and Taladrill, whichever one of you gets in first, what are you excited about coming from this demo the most? And I guess as people building a database, what's the first thing you want to run in and check out in terms of what you'll be doing in the future?
Yeah, I think really seeing that the numbers, how we've calculated the numbers and everything has been correct because we've been using, tools based on the original Classic WoW, what they might have changed or how they might have changed it. I know making sure that the tool that we're working on, the DPS calculator and the character sheet, making sure that that's accurate with the current implementation and not the previous one. Like, that's something I'm really looking forward to, like, apart from just getting in there and playing it.
Taladril, how about you?
It'll be nice to see. I know that there's a sticky document on your Discord of things that could be checked, and just going through that list will be very interesting to see. Hopefully they're sticking to original, and if in the places that we have questions, hopefully we might be able to get some answers about it. But a lot of the deep answers is going to have to wait until beta at least. So this is going to be a lot more of just a tantalizing view rather than hard-hitting facts, I think.
Very good. Now, if I can just ask one sort of final round of questions about BlizzCon. Now, if with all of you staying at home and playing the demo, I should ask what obscene amounts of time are you going to be spending delving into it? Is it going to be a pretty crazy week for all of you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably a lot of sick days. I hope the limit they put on us being able to play it isn't too long.
Now, out of interest, are you all rolling your default classes, or are you going to try something new? Meldron, how about you?
I'm going to be trying my favorite classes first, like Rogue, Priest, and then I'll be doing all the classes. Luckily, I'm going to be having off. I'll be with Meldron in Kansas that week, but we'll be able to do hopefully a deep dive through all the classes, and we will be streaming that as well, so you can come check it out on ClassicWoW.live.
Yeah, and the shittiest part about it is Josh, the week the demo comes out is the week I'm defending my PhD thesis, so it's the worst timing ever. The worst.
So I'll be taking his turn, so,
Yeah, we both bought a ticket, so he'll be having my turn, exactly, yeah.
Don't account share, that's not allowed.
Oh, no, we have two separate accounts. We have two separate accounts. Blizzard, if you're listening, we have two separate accounts.
Taladril and Ale, I'll ask you, because one of the sticking points for me was that time limit or purported time limit that we're getting in the demo. And I think, honestly, to be fair, Blizzard has dodged a little bit of a PR bullet here, because I thought people would hit the fucking roof about this, and they kind of haven't. What are you expecting in terms of time limits?
Yeah, I was surprised that people didn't have more backlash, because once I saw that, because I missed that initially, I was like, oh, that's for your own personal one too. I'm like, that's ridiculous. But I was like, well, you know what? Actually, to a certain extent, it's a little bit smart so that they can keep queues down. It probably just puts you right back into the queue so that, everybody gets a chance. So in that sense, it's good. In terms of time limit, I would bet you that it's probably going to be like an hour.
Yeah,
I'd agree. An hour or two, something like that.
Yeah.
Anything once you'd be able to log back in.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, it's variable. It could potentially be set up.
True.
To be
Yeah.
variable.
I would.
So if there's less people on, it won't be as long. So like maybe later in the night, once BlizzCon's closed down and it's there's less people playing there, but maybe more people in the world.
Yeah.
They have multiple different limits.
Depend on queue level, I think.
Correct. So I have a question for Alan Taladril. You guys know about more technical side. Do you think this is because they sold so many damn tickets that they actually have to kind of do like attrition here, like trying to just save server infrastructure? Is that because there's just so many people that they're planning on coming on that they have to do this, or is this something just community based that they're limiting time?
It's an arbitrary limit they put on for sure, because as far as I know from what I understand about their architecture, it's 100% scalable. They could put as much, they can have as much as they want, basically. They're putting some sort of an arbitrary limit on that. We're not sure why. Don't know.
Well, watch out, Josh. I think Meldron's trying to steal your show.
I was legitimately trying to guess the question.
I am more than prepared for Meldron to steal the show. That's all right. I'm ready to retire to a comfy farm in Kansas and just watch Meldron run countdown to Meldron. I would listen to every episode. That's perfectly fine by me. Well, look, guys, I'll wrap it up here because I've got to get to work. But I just want to thank all of you for coming on the show, and obviously I'll be keeping a keen eye on the website, and I'll just ask you to sort of mention the URL one last time. Just throw it out there. Whoever wants to jump in first, give one last short plug where they can find you.
We can find us at classicwow.live, and that's our URL. We have a subreddit, classicwow.live. We have a Twitter account at classicwowlive. And we have a, what am I missing here, guys? Help me out.
Facebook.
Yeah, Classic WoW Live on Facebook as well.
Discord too. Discord, yeah.
And Discord, Classic WoW Live.
Yep.
Discord. Yeah. If you want so if you can contact us direct. So if you go to our website, you can there's link outs to this store, the Facebook, the Twitter, everything has a link out through the website. So.
And if you are a content creator, a prospective content creator, you want to get into it, this is the best resource ever, man. Come into the Discord and you pretty much have like dozens of content creators that are going through what you're going through, have different skills that might be able to help you in whatever your pain points are. So absolutely, jump in there.
Yeah, and even if it's just for resources, you just want to come in there and talk to people. It's not like you're, there's no signing, anything like that. It's just you coming on in, you're going to talk to us, and that's it. It's just a community for all of us to get to know each other.
Fantastic. Well, look, guys, thanks so much for all of that. Again, I can't stress enough to everyone listening, like, obviously, this isn't a paid spot or anything like this. Believe me, I think, none of us earn enough money to be throwing around cash for advertising. These guys we're just buds. I'm more than happy to do a solid for some friends and get the word out there. So thanks to all of you for calling in. And obviously, I'll speak to every one of you individually again at some point in the future.
Thank you so much, Josh. Seriously. I mean, you're the man. You are.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Hopefully
Thanks
next time
so
you
much,
speak, I can get my lightning round.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Really appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right.
Thanks.
Peace.
And that's everything from the guys, and a big thank you to them for coming on for that chat. As I said at the top of the show, I'm more than happy to do them a solid and raise a bit of awareness for the site because it does look fantastic and has been launched to a really positive reception from the community. So it'd be great to see them all go on to maybe become the next big thing in WoW-based websites, and I wish them nothing but luck in chasing that dream. But with all that done, now it's time for Memory Lane. In Memory Lane, Countdown to Classic hears from the listeners about their funniest or fondest stories from back in the day with Vanilla. So we start with listener Mumfo, who tells us this. Faction Imbalance and AV. My all-time favorite thing to do in Vanilla was play Alterac Valley. The problem was the faction imbalance was so bad that the Horde never had enough people queuing to start up a new match. We would wait in the queue for hours, most of the time just giving up. Me and my buddy devised a plan to create Horde characters and spam in Orgrimmar's general chat. Everyone join AV. We need a couple more for it to start. Allies are waiting to kick your ass. We would swap back and forth between Alliance and Horde until finally our plan worked. Time for a 3-day AV match. Blizzard eventually helped the situation by creating Battleground weekends in patch 1.7. Next we have this one from listener Monocle Frown, who tells us this. Hey Josh, I've just recently started listening to your show and it's become a staple in my work commute. Keep up the good work. I wanted to share a potential memory lane story with you. Back when I was about 15 and I'd been playing Vanilla for about 2 months, I had only played Alliance at this point, and as 15-year-olds do, I had a falling out with my Alliance friends. I started loosely considering switching to Horde. One day, I was hanging out in Westfall on my mid-20s human rogue. A small group of Horde had come to attack Sentinel Hill, and that's when I saw my first ever shaman. I quickly attacked him to see what he could do, and he destroyed me. He had fire swirling around his staff, he kept slowing me down, and wait a second, was that piece of wood in the ground shooting fireballs at me? I didn't even release my spirit before logging out and creating the character that led to most of my fond Vanilla memories, my troll shaman. Just thinking about this character warms my heart and brings back hundreds of nostalgic memories, and I can't wait to recreate him on Classic. Next we have this one from listener Minoru, who tells us this. Sometime in early 2005, I turned on my computer that I shared with my little brother to find a picture saved on the desktop. It was of a troll holding a glowing runed sword I had never seen before. I asked my brother, who played a warrior, what that picture was. I don't know, but I want that sword, he responded. As the months went by and we slowly leveled up, more pictures of that sword showed up on the desktop. The pictures were named stuff like, OMG, it's so sweet, or want, or leet, or epic. We eventually learned the name of the sword, Kel Sirah. My brother's leveling guild eventually grew into a raiding guild, and he relentlessly farmed Dire Maul to get the Fora's Compendium of Dragon Slaying to start the quest to get that sword. That book never spawned, so he farmed for ages, saving up his gold and bought the book on the auction house instead. Tome in hand, he marched into Dire Maul and started the quest, and the next Onyxia raid night he marched in, heated the blade with her dragon's breath, then plunged it into her black heart as she perished. He returned to Dire Maul with the tempered blade and emerged triumphant as a true dragon slayer. He obtained his beloved Kel Sirah, a journey months in the making, now complete. It is one of his most treasured items, and he's going to do it all again in Classic. The kicker? When I ran this story by my brother to fact-check it, he had this to add. After he got Kel Sirah, the next time he went into Molten Core, a dwarf warrior remarked, "Gee, you Night Elf warriors all look the same." Sure enough, he and all of his 2 Night Elven warrior buddies were all wearing the exact same gear. Kel Sirah, drill borer disc, tier 2 helmet, and shoulders. Tier 1 everything else. Kind of takes the charm out of the story, doesn't it? And thank you for those ones, everyone. And I just want to finish up with a quick bit of listener feedback. And this is an email I received from listener Silverflap, who said this. Hi Josh, a few weeks ago I needed some background music and decided to search for some WoW music from Spotify, and up popped Countdown to Classic. I've been a World of Warcraft junkie on cold turkey since the Burning Crusade. My real world memories are integrated with virtual World of Warcraft memories. Like arriving at Orgrimmar greeted by the sounds of war drums and a hive of activity, it feels just like the first day I went to university. The attention to real world detail in some cases was frightening. I swear Wailing Caverns has to be a real cave. It captures the feeling of caving so accurately, and I've done quite a bit of real caving. By Countdown to Classic episode number 4, I had too much. You broke me. I needed my fix. I resubscribed to retail, returned to my level 60 Holy Priest, and fixed the XP gain. Dressed in devout robes, I set out to explore the new world. So many places that were full of life and friends are dead and lonely. At least Orgrimmar is still humming, but folk don't have time for a chat anymore. There's been some inflation as well. Those spare set of BOE dungeon set gloves I have in the bank are worth a fortune. It's really weird to see every low-level character dressed in handed-down raiding gear. I plan to see how much new content I can take my level 60 through before Classic starts. I'll let you know how I go. Looking forward to listening to the next 73 episodes to find out what we're actually getting. Yours sincerely, Silverflap. P.S. I agree. Hashtag no changes. Blizzard has had their chance to fix up old Azeroth in Cataclysm and they stuffed it. Blizzard knows how to make good video games but has no idea on what makes a good MMORPG. They have no idea what the real essence of the old world meant to players. Vanilla was a success because it was rushed. It was unplanned. The old Dungeon and Dragon influenced developers that were still around actually had a chance to influence game development because Blizzard didn't actually understand what they were doing. If Blizzard try and make it good, they will only make it bad. We need to save Classic before it's too late to revive, so it's still around when we're all retired, too decrepit, and our children can't be bothered visiting because they'll be playing Altered Reality. I can't wait. And thank you so much for that one, Silverflap. I really do appreciate the feedback. I do agree with a lot of what you're saying there in terms of how it must be coming back to retail and realizing that places that were once teeming with life are now spots that no one ever ventures to. I slightly disagree with your contention that Blizzard doesn't know how to make a good MMORPG. I would say that, obviously when they did strike gold with WoW, as you've acknowledged, that obviously it was fantastic and it was due to some of the reasons that you listed off. So perhaps I'd tweak in my mind what you said slightly to say that perhaps they've lost track of what makes a good MMORPG now, but there was once a time when I would say they knew what made a good MMORPG, and they made the greatest one, arguably, of all time. So I do appreciate where you're coming from, though, with your doubts as to what may be coming with Classic. But as you say, let's cross our fingers and hope and just have a bit of faith, and hopefully it's just like it was back in the day. Now that's the show for the day, everyone. Countdown will be back in a few days' time, but I can't say exactly when. But if you do happen to be attending BlizzCon, then please do come and say hello if you see me. My photo's on the website. I posted it on Twitter just now as well, so you can check out who to keep an eye out for. And also there will be a few of us running around in black Countdown to Classic t-shirts with the big logo on the front, so it'll be hard to miss me during convention hours. If you see someone in a Countdown to Classic shirt, go up and say hello, ask, are you Josh? And if it's not me, they'll direct you to where I am, more than likely. So please don't be shy. I love a chat and really want to meet all of you and chat World of Warcraft and the show, or whatever you want to talk about. But with that said, just before I let you go, I just want to shout out to some very dedicated patrons of Countdown to Classic. So shout out to Flozy B, Palfurus, Permadrunk, Rarebit, Romani, Tsunami, DeAnton, Wilson Ma, and Valaco. Thank you so much for your phenomenal support of the show. Countdown to Classic would not be the same without you. And also a big thank you to supporters Bossman764, Hurlbert, Good Kisser, Myrtlebanks, Purgatos81, Tim B, Michael H, and Pseudomos as always. That's it from me for the day, everyone. As you can hear, I really need to get some rest. So signing off from Los Angeles, California. Have a great day, everyone.